goal is to bring you your next favorite band.
Thanks for having us. This is a very cool show.
Yeah, so through many iterations, and we finally landed on the weirdest one by far.
Yeah, simple feelings, and boom, you got a sound.
I remember this one time. I had been writing some songs, and I went out. I'm just going right in on this story. I went out, and so I was.
The story's longer than the song itself. We'll go ahead and play it.
And listen, it's going to be everybody's favorite band. Welcome to your next favorite band. That's both the show title and our promise to you. We here at Stereophilia Studio are tireless in our pursuit of finding incredible, genre-defiant artists who are either a hot up-and-coming band or a group that has been delivering for years but have flown under the radar. Tonight, the anthemic, emotional, raw rock of Terrible Orange Things. Each month, we will bring you live streams, audio podcasts, and perhaps even a live concert where you can listen to the stories and hear the music of artists personally curated by us based on what we feel will be worthy of your time. Be sure to subscribe and tune in to each episode because the possibilities are endless and you never know who will be your next favorite band. Hello, everybody. I am your host, Philip Reese.
Hello, and I am David Moore, your co-host.
And this is
Your next favorite band.
Your next favorite band.
Your next favorite band. Neither of us can do the James Earl Jones bass reflex thing. That would be super dope, right?
Right. Or I think what you actually can do is the In a World.
Oh yeah, I can do the super. Yeah, I mean it's too bad those trailers aren't like that anymore. Now they just use nothing but that bass thing in that.
Well, listen, as the pendulum swings away, if everyone yings, we'll yang, and we'll adopt it.
And maybe I have a late career birth as voiceover guy when that comes back in style.
And you're the In a World guy.
Oh man, if only.
If only. So anyway, hello, David.
Hello, Philip. How are you?
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
It is a scant, 46, 60-ish hours old?
Yeah, if we can count in hours, it's brand spanking new.
Correct. We're under 100.
Yeah, we return it. I think our receipt is still good at this point in time for holiday return policies.
We could, except Toys R Us, which doesn't exist anymore. You have a challenge to issue to everybody, from what I understand.
Less of a challenge, more of a conversational item, but it's a fun one that was I sent to you a few days ago. Mm-hmm. This was one of those sort of fun things that sort of bubbles its way up at the beginning of the year. You know, you see best of lists and things like that, but you also see things like this, and I'm trying to find it right now.
I'm going to bring it up on screen.
Oh, awesome. That's even better than me trying to dig it up.
Which is also literally a challenge, but I'm just going to stand back and let you do your thing.
Okay. Well, so I found this online. So Drowned in Sound is a music sort of blog. 2023 music challenge ideas. So these are all really good ones. These are all sort of match the sort of thought process that also drives things for our show. So, the discovery of music. So pick a record label each month. Explore acts you don't know. You could pick a record label. You could pick an era of that record label in my mind, because record labels change over time. Pick 52 albums. Dedicate 2 hours plus to one in a week. That means you're just listening. And then make a list of 12 countries or cities and discover music from them, one per month. I mean, that's super fun. Vow to buy on Bandcamp. If you listen to an act often, this is one we've talked about frequently. And then put a weekly hour plus into your diary to browse new releases, which is always exciting. Again, part of what we do here. Start a note on your phone to log music friends recommend. I can't recommend that one enough when your friend is in a bar and says, "Do you know this band?" over top of whatever band you can't really hear because you're in a bar. And go to 5+ independent venues you've never been to before. Super into that idea. That one we even accomplished last year, Phil.
True, very true.
You and I both venturing forth.
Yeah, and I love
and
this.
And then, of course, suggest a challenge as well.
Well, right. That was Drowned in Sound asking people to say, let's
make content for us.
Right.
But
That is the beauty of social media. Here,
Right.
you can make content for me. But I just mean the beauty here is like we're all about this. Like, find ways to go music discovery. Like, don't get caught in listening to what you've always listened to, or even, unfortunately, the algorithms of whether it's Spotify or Pandora or whatever. Like, it's just going to bring you stuff that sounds and feels and looks just like what you already listened to. So you have to really be quite intentional to go out and find stuff that you otherwise wouldn't have been exposed to.
I think intentionality is exactly the term that you've just touched on there. That's both what that challenge is and partly what we really focus on in this show is, we pick somebody, we talk to them. These are artists that are new. These are artists that are new to us, which is sometimes different. It is a chance to sort of broaden your horizons. And
yeah, absolutely.
What do you got to lose? I mean,
nothing.
Music is awesome. Like, let's experience more awesome.
Well, that's what I even say about, like, people will ask me if I say, hey, why don't you tune into the show? And they're like, well, like, what type of music do you have on? I'm like, well, kind of all genres. And they're like, well, let me know when you're going to bring on, and they fill in the blank. And I'm like, well, just tune in any night, because the whole point is it's a great story. And even if you don't like the music, you're going to respect it. And then we can just move on from there. And so, like, I think that's, again, to your point of what you were just making, is music's terrific. So, like, even if you didn't like it, you're still going to walk away thinking, well, that was a great experience. So that's, again, that's what this show is about. And even if you're not listening to the show and you're just going to tap into kind of that challenge right there, that's definitely what we're kind of in 100%.
Oh, I would hope if you tapped into just that challenge and never listened to anything else that we said, even that makes me feel good inside.
1,000%. So in speaking of, again, what we're hopefully in pursuit of and hopefully serving for you all who are listening is bringing you music discovery. And so tonight we have a band who is local to this Philadelphia area, but we heard them at Music Fest and their sound is amazing. And so we can't wait to deliver it to you all. And as we typically do, we're going to play some of their music here. David's going to share a bio and we're going to bring him on the show. So this particular song, here's one thing about them, is they definitely went all in. Like, not only is their music all in, but their video production is all in. Like, they really just went for it. So I think you're going to love not only the music, but also the video. So the band is called Terrible Orange Things. And then this particular song is called Brighter. And I love the song, and the video is equally as amazing. So let's play this, and then David, you'll come in a little bit, and we'll go from there.
A fragment, you fell from grace for the 15th time today. A problem, a question, the boundaries, you test them, a symbol of a spiral you've become.
Born in Doylestown, Pennsylvania, in the summer of 2019, Terrible Orange Things is the brainchild of longtime friends and first-time collaborators Donovan O'Rourke on bass and vocals, James Bioniak on guitar, and Simon Bernosky on drums. The band immediately set to work writing their first singles, Alien and Stutter. When it came to time to reveal their music to the world, the band knew that they wanted to create content that reflected their own lighthearted, comedic, and adventurous personalities, and thus the Adventures of Terrible Things were born. The band released the official video for Alien on May 1st, 2019, and hit the ground running on a sci-fi adventure of their own creation, following up the sequel, Stutter, in August. Shortly after beginning work on recording their debut EP, Lovely Sounds for Lonely Times, the band was forced into a year-long hiatus due to the COVID-19 pandemic. Fortunately, the band returned with their third original single and video, Brighter, in April of 2021 and followed shortly thereafter by the Full Lovely Sounds EP in December. After a handful of shows in 2022 and the release of a new cover video for Kate Bush's Running Up That Hill, the band has taken a step back for live performances to begin work on a new sound for their follow-up EP titled Why Don't You Make Like a Tree and Grow, to be released in 2023.
I think we're going to bring this up a little bit because this is just such a great song, and we're going to let it play out a little bit. So, welcome to the show, Donovan and Simon.
What's up, guys?
Remember to unmute my microphone. All right.
We were talking about that pandemic, and we
You
all
are
learned how to
nailing
do
life
that.
right now. So, I'm going to keep letting this go while we start our conversation, because I would love to have you just chat about it. Like, the music is, I keep expressing it as raw and emotional, but it probably is not exactly what I'm trying to say. It's authentic, and it's like, I love when a band is like not just playing music and such, like they're also sharing a story. They're sharing what's going on in their life or what have you. And it's so evident and so clear in what you're putting out there, and it's vulnerable. And I just think it's all awesome and beautiful. And I just want you to maybe take a moment to talk about that. And I don't know, I just think it's great.
Yeah, no, happy to do so. I mean, I think if anything, you know, we kind of set out to differentiate ourselves, you know, specifically like that. I mean, we don't have the most, you know, technically advanced, you know, theory-wise music, but, you know, we really try and be, I think authentic is probably my favorite adjective you could use to describe it, you know, genuine. Sure. And, you know, the messaging we are trying to send, you know, does come from a real place, you know, for just about every single song.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. And then the videos are these wonderfully produced. Like, not everybody we bring on the show who's in the same place, like you only really, like, we'll talk about it in a second, but you started in 2019. Not everybody jumps to that quality of like really high level video quality. And I just think that's another element of your commitment to how excellent it is, and the storytelling and whatever else it is. But like anything else you could share about the videos, because there was Alien, and then there was Stutter, and then there was this song, and it was almost like a, correct me if I'm wrong, but there was almost like a trilogy-ish element to those three, correct?
Yes. Yay, it made its way through. Yay.
Someone gets it.
Yes. Donovan, you want to?
I attribute it all to we've been so fortunate that even from the get-go, we've had just like a really fantastic team behind us in terms of like the video production and the places we recorded and the audio engineers and everything. I think it was because it was kind of just like so Simon and I had both worked like in the cover band industry for such a long time, and that's kind of where we like got a lot of our experience. And then we both were kind of like exiting that around the same time, and it was like we still want to play music, but like if we're gonna do it, you know, like let's do it right. Let's really kind of like.
He's making this sound actually much better than it really was. I got a text message one day from him. He's like, "Hey man, are you still like playing music?" And it was sort of like, "Yeah, I'm trying to." Do you want to be in an internet band? And I went, "Yeah." What's an internet band?
Yeah.
And the whole idea that was presented, which I thought was awesome, is at the time, you know, we hadn't really thought about necessarily doing anything live ever. It was kind of like Donovan and I had always had the same taste in music. And it was sort of like, we're just going to like write cool music, and we're going to try to not put out a song without a video attached to it. And we're not going to put a video out unless it's of the quality we want it to be.
Sure.
which is kind of
visual
why
album kind of idea.
which is why we sort of did it in a slower manner instead of doing like here's a whole EP. We just sort of did a lot of singles at first, and then we had a bunch of songs on the back burner. We're like, okay, well now we can do the EP because we have these 4 or 5. We have like the 3 originals with videos or the 4 originals with videos, and then we had at the time we had one cover that we did like a quick video with IKEA lamps and it's funny to me that a lot of the videos that we've done have been what we would consider to be fairly low budget production wise, but it's sort of how you shoot it, how you edit it, and the vibe you created. Like the Kate Bush video that you guys have seen, I think is 5 Home Depot lights and a hazer, and that was it.
And Trav, our video, Travis Eisenhard, and a lot of work on his end, making it look, epic.
And then the one for someone, or the other cover we do, is it someone or somebody? I always forget, but
something, some whatever.
I think it's someone.
Well, actually, let's even pause for a moment there, because like Running Up That Hill kind of became a little bit of a meme because of how popular it became.
Sure.
But I want people to understand your version of it is tremendous, and they should go check it out. And the video is that much cooler because it leans way in on the Stranger Things thing, which is like very cool. But I will also say, and this is classic for me, is when I heard you play that live back at Music Fest, I was like, holy crap. Like there's people who try to do it, and then there's people who nail it, and you guys totally nailed it.
I think with a lot of those, or at least those two covers, it was because Donovan and I came from a cover band background. It wasn't necessarily about rewriting the song. It was about doing it, not to get too much into it, but you need to, in a cover band, to be successful, you need
get
to
into it,
music.
Do whatever you want to.
Yeah, but you need to be able to play music, and people, will say, I can sing along to this because I've heard this on the radio or Spotify.
Sure, absolutely.
So I think when we go about writing, doing a cover, it's sort of like you do it almost straight up with sort of the influence of our sound a little bit in there. And that was kind of the Kate Bush cover was a lot more. It was, if you take out sort of the drums and some of the heavy guitars, it's almost exactly like the original until you get to the bridge, I guess. But that was always our thing. And the whole keep it simple, stupid policy applies very much to how we write music and how we film videos. So that other cover we did was 8 or 9 IKEA lamps with Edison bulbs on the top of them, some haze, and this really creepy old church that we found that had a piano in it. So,
well, there's not it all ends with a creepy church.
Yes, absolutely.
Well, it started in a creepy what was that? Not like
Masonic
Freemason,
temple, right?
Masonic. It started in a creepy Masonic temple. Well, former Masonic temple out in Phoenixville is where we shot Alien and Stutter. Like it just so happened to be like James knew someone, and they were kind of like on pause with renovations, so it was just this big empty space. But like
an empty temple, you guys can use that.
There was no lights in the bathroom, so we're like battery powered on the. If you need to go to the bathroom, and like thank God we didn't blow a breaker, because like who would have known what there's the 50s to fix
there's
it.
a scene in that video.
It probably lit the whole place on fire.
There's a scene in that video with the alien riding up one of those like chair lifts that take old people. Which has nothing to do with anything in the video. It was just funny. We're like, let's use that chair lift.
I totally agree.
I'm like, I don't know. Just we'll take the shot. We'll figure out where it's.
I totally agree. It was definitely like I watched it going, I don't know what that is, but I think that's hilarious.
We walked by. We're like, well, we got to use that for something.
Yeah, we'll figure that out in editing. Just use it quickly,
backwards, really slowly. And anyways,
figure it out in post.
Yes, exactly. So I think the major point there is that everybody should go to the Terrible Orange Things YouTube page and go check out each one of those. Because like we said, they're somewhat interconnected, and the music is amazing in all of them, and the video is super high production.
Well, thank you.
And now this conversation would make much more sense. Like you can get all the interconnectedness of everything.
Correct. Yeah. So hit pause, go watch those, come back.
Yeah.
So anyway,
I'm glad you guys picked up on the trilogy thing, because those videos were shot fairly not close to each other. So we're like, oh, people are going to see this video, but they might not necessarily see the other one. But
right. So here's the funny part is, back during Music Fest, I thought Stutter was this amazing song, and it was like my favorite one. And so I obviously, when you started playing, like I anticipated it getting played. So when you have a recording from Music Fest, we'll play a little bit later on. So I was like, well, I can't play the video to that one. And then later on, so I was like, we got to play Brighter. But now that I keep playing Brighter in preparation for the show, I honestly get emotional listening to it because I just think it's this wonderful, it has such a great message to it. And again, you don't, this will sound wrong, but like the style of music you play, you don't always expect it to have a deep, genuine message associated with it. So I hope that comes across as nothing but praise and respect. But I just more mean like it's this full package of great music, great stadium rock, but like also it's connecting with human beings that are maybe in need of something.
I hope so. For me, like it's funny because like to hear all this like stuff like described is like so positive and hopeful because like in person can be a bit of a rain cloud as what I have been described as. So I think that's like the like putting that sort of positivity, that antithesis of that rain cloud energy is like it's like medicine to me to like have it exist, and so I'm really glad to hear that other people can like take some positive vibes
Certainly.
from it.
I mean, it's
I
hard.
actually
It's
have
impossible.
a small funny anecdote about that. Is that being a drummer, especially when we're writing music, I am very much not paying attention to the lyrics when we're putting the songs together. I'm just listening to the parts what they should sound like, and Brighter was one of those songs that I didn't really pay attention to the lyrics until probably we released the EP. And my 4-year-old son, who calls Terrible Orange Things Daddy Dance, and he's always requesting Daddy Dance in the car, which was actually really embarrassing.
That'll be when you play in the smaller venue.
Right.
Like
I got
people will know it's you.
Right. That's the hidden name.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
I got the Spotify wrap up thing back, and it was all like my own band, and I was like, that's wrong. But
Can't share that one on Facebook.
We were listening to it one day, and I finally was like paying attention to the lyrics. And I went, "Oh my god, this is like deep."
Yeah, that's what I mean.
I'm back there just bashing on stuff, and I'm like, "Oh, maybe this is more than that."
But I do think that's the beauty of it is like you're not letting the lyrics lead, and you're not letting the music lead. You're letting it all kind of come along for the ride, and I think that's why it makes it so tremendous.
I think it's also interesting how people write music. After that Beatles documentary came out, watching them, how they went about writing their songs, and it was sort of like they sort of got the music, and it was like almost gibberish lyrics, and then they would make the lyrics fit with the music, and it's like I'm always interested in how other people go about putting songs together. Is it lyrics first? Is it music first? It's it's always been interesting to me.
Yeah, no, and I think that's what hopefully people are tuning in are like looking for, that kind of like stories behind things. So let's take things way back. And this is something that I actually think this is a defining moment for people. So Donovan, from what I understand, your parents took you to a Moody Blues concert when you were about 6.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think they're like, I had similar experiences. And so like when you expose your kids at a young age to like really complex and awesome music, it just sets them up for the pursuit of that the rest of their life. But I think that kind of set you up from that point on, if I understand it right.
Yeah, no, I like didn't it's such a vivid like memory of mine. Like I didn't know what was going on. I just knew that I loved it, and I just was like it was like I grew up in Phoenix, is where I'm from originally, and I'm like, so it's an outdoor amphitheater show, and I just remember standing on this like blanket in a grass field, and I'm just like playing air guitar, and this is the greatest thing I've ever seen.
Right.
And then I was like, I guess I want to make music. Yeah.
Exactly. And I think that's awesome. And so like, but your parents were very supportive. Like, they liked music and they supported your efforts there. Is that correct?
Yeah, no, I was pretty fortunate because both my parents are essentially tone deaf. But they've been nothing but, pretty supportive my whole life. So that was, good on to them, because it could have been like, I don't get this, music stuff. And like my dad probably would have been happier if I had been a little more coordinated, because he was like a big sports guy, but he was on board. He was on board with it. So.
It takes a lot of coordination to play guitar. So I think you're pretty coordinated.
Yeah, you see me walk around and chew gum at the same time. Make your own call
right.
About that.
We all need to own our expertise. But so then you meet James in high school, who is the guitar player who's not with us tonight. And then you meet Simon through we talked about this a little bit, where it was like the cover band circuit. So like you're kind of connected to these different people before you actually form the band. So how's that time frame for you all?
It was, I mean, so basically, yeah, I mean, James and I played in bands together when we were like 18, 19, and then he kind of went one way and I kind of went off, started doing the cover stuff, and that's where I met Simon. And we had kind of, that scene is very like everybody knows each other and like hangs out, and it's like this little community. And so
based on what I can hear from you, and you hate doing it, like.
Well, I mean, it has its moments,
Sure, I get
it's
that.
like any job.
I got to jump in here if we're talking about.
Yeah,
here's the
absolutely.
thing with cover bands is that it is both the most fulfilling and fun experience you can possibly have.
Sure.
Mixed with the worst conditions you may ever put yourself in.
Well, I got to think.
A,
you're getting paid, so like you're making money. B, the crowd loves it, and so as a performer, you're going to feed off of that.
Yeah, and in addition to that,
but the bottom line of it all is, as a creative, if you want to be genuine and play your music, you're probably feeling a little empty from that regard. Was my guess, and I was hoping to ask that question.
So Donovan probably may have a different opinion on this, but for me as a drummer, it's a little bit different, especially because we were playing in cover band, or I was playing in cover band starting around 2012. And a lot of like the top 40 music going on there was just like dance music. So as a drummer, a lot of these songs are electronic songs. So there's no actual drums in them. There's a beat, but it's not someone actually playing an acoustic instrument.
Right.
So I got to kind of, explore a little bit more than, when we were playing like Wagon Wheel or something, So I always, it was a little bit different for me. Just because there were so many songs that didn't have live drums in them that I could kind of write my own parts and like, oh, this part might sound cool if it was sort of like a Latin feel, which I never did, but
but you never know.
It also gave us the opportunity to play in front of crowds that, you would never like have dreamed of. We did Donovan's band and my band both performed at Thon at Penn State, which is 25,000 people.
Sure. Right. I read about some. So let's talk about those bands for a second. So Donovan, you were in My Hero Zero.
Correct.
And Simon, you were in a band called The Rockets.
Correct.
And so, but again, back to the point is highly successful. Like, this is not to be diminished as far as what that was in a moment, only because I also want to emphasize you gave up a ton to say, I want to go and do my own thing.
Yeah.
No, I just mean like that's important for people to understand. Is that's a big deal. Like that's like saying I'm in the equivalent of I've got a safe job, but I'm going to go out and start my own business. Is kind of where you were in that moment.
Yeah, I mean there was definitely a whole lot of life factors. I mean for both of us, I'm sure, playing at the time, and I mean we're still friends with all the respective guys in all those bands, and love those folks, and But it was, it was definitely a little scary to be like, because I met my wife, at the while I was, still in doing all the cover stuff, and so she didn't really know me from like any original projects or anything like that from beforehand, and I was like, hey, like I think I'm gonna like do some original music, and she was like, and she tells the story better than me, but she says she was like. And I was like, "Oh yeah, go for it." But internally, she was like, "Oh God, I hope it's not terrible." And so I played "Brighter" for her. It was like the first song I showed her, and she actually, because I didn't have a name for it, I was just like, "Here's a song I wrote a long time ago in my parents' basement, and I think I want to use it finally. It kind of makes sense." And she was like, "That's great." I'm like, "What are you gonna call it?" I was like, "I have no idea." She's like, "How about Brighter?" I was like, "Nailed it." So
done.
She gets credit for that.
That's so cool. What a great story.
And I met my wife literally 2 months before I got an offer to play in a cover band full time. I was working retail at Apple, and I got a friend from college hit me up, and she said, hey, my boyfriend's band just lost their drummer, their full time cover band. And I'm like, what is a full-time cover band? Because is
that like a 9 to 5 thing? Do you stand in an elevator? Like,
what is the retirement benefits look like?
Right. Well, at the time,
does it come with a 401k? Yeah.
And this is a lot of people too. You hear cover band, you think of like, the 6, 60-year-old guys playing, 80s music, at the corner of the bar.
Right.
And that generally was my experience with a lot of it. She's like, no, like, trust me. And she sent me a couple videos that were like, iPhone videos from 2012, if you remember what those looked and sounded like. But I went and auditioned, and they offered me the job, and then I had to like tell my parents. I was 23 at the time, 24. And I called them, and my dad, who's also a musician, well, he plays music. He wishes he was a full-time musician, very much so. But and we could talk about that later too, because we actually did a song with him.
We did.
Cool. I called, and I was expecting them to be much more, I don't know, man. I don't know. And my parents were both like, yeah, do it.
Love it.
Do it.
Yeah.
Like, can you make enough money to like pay the bills? Yeah. Okay, do it.
Mm-hmm.
So, so my wife has knew me for 2.5 months of having a real job. And then ever since then was, playing in cover bands. And, what you were going back to is leaving that. I was in a little bit different situation. We had just had our first kid. And that life and that touring life just became a lot. I would get home Wednesday nights over the summer. We had a vertical at Secrets in Ocean City, Maryland. And I would get home at 6 a.m, and my son would be waking up at 6 a.m.
Right.
I was like, guess I'm not sleeping tonight. So
welcome home.
Right. Exactly. So that was sort of, I had other things going on that sort of led me to pursue other things, but it was really hard to walk away from something like that.
Mm-hmm.
And I still, we go and see our friends' bands a lot, and like there's still part of me that really, really misses playing covers and playing for like a big crowd of people that do that. But I think about what we have now and like the opportunity to write music again, which I hadn't done in probably 15, 20 years at that point, from back in high school. It's been so much more fulfilling, I think. Personally, at least.
No, I think that's the big difference is, if you do that other stuff, it can be rewarding in the sense, again, like you're going to get some audience feedback, you're going to have some finances coming in. But as far as, again, if you're a creative, if you want to create things, if you want to have your art out there, it's going to be missing that part. And I think that's what happened for you all.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It also gives you an opportunity, though. You also learn to refine things like stagecraft and studio craft and things like that. And you learn that doing that other work. And that gives you an opportunity to bring all that forward.
Absolutely.
When
I can't recommend, like, I would do it again, all over again in a heartbeat, because it's like, it's the best like boot camp for like performing you can imagine. It's like you need to memorize 3.5 to 4 hours of 4 hours of material, and you're consistently playing 4 nights in a row, and what does it take vocally to do all that, and
especially,
you learn a lot.
I got that a lot playing drums, because I come from a background of like marching band, drum and bugle corps, that kind of stuff. So I always practicing playing to a click all the time, and then doing that. That was one of the things I think that got me into cover bands. Like, oh yeah, you'll do, because when a lot of that electronic music, we're playing to backing tracks, like multiple backing tracks, and the only way to do that is with a click live.
Right.
So being able to play to a metronome live and also recording was something that was super, super important. And that was just something that had been ingrained in me from years and years and years of, teaching and doing that kind of percussion. And that has definitely, and then all the years we spent in the cover band is made, us playing live now as this band, a fairly, well, for me, not Donovan, a fairly low stress gig. It's like, yeah, we know what to do. Like, and they're, and yeah, things are going to go wrong, and we know how to fix them. And I can play with in-ears live and get a mix going in about 3 minutes. It's definitely it was funny watching, the two of us kind of approach it differently than James, who hasn't necessarily played live in a while, which I remember that my first couple shows with the cover band were really scary and really bad. Watching him prepare for it was sort of a callback to what that kind of takes to get ready to just be comfortable on stage.
Oh yeah.
And it was funny too, because at Music Fest, which I'm sure we'll talk about, that was a situation where we had done some shows that were sort of smaller. We did some charity events, we did that kind of stuff, but that was the first like show I think we had really done. And I was like, oh, what's this going to be like getting back on stage? Because it had been 4 years, I guess, since I really like got on stage for that. And I got on and it took about 30 seconds and I went, oh, we're good.
Yeah, the muscle memory kicks in. Yeah,
totally. Yeah, no, totally. And so let's even, we won't get quite there, but so let's get to 2019. And you guys are saying, I'm going to basically divest myself from cover bands. We're going to form our own thing. I'm going to reach out to the people I trust, and we're going to form this band called Terrible Orange Things. How does that all kind of happen? Like, what's the origin story there?
I mean, it literally is, basically, Simon, a text message. It's a Simon. I kind of like
And you said an internet band.
An internet band, yeah. So go to
and that's pre-COVID too. Like you were so like
I know we felt we were like kind of ahead of the game, except then when COVID actually hit, we couldn't get back together to like work on stuff.
Right.
It was really challenging actually. Like so we like Brighter specifically, we shot all of that like the performance shots like in December of 2019. And then it was like, okay, like the holidays are happening, and then we'll get back together and do the narrative, pieces. And we had all that animation was like custom. I found a guy on Fiverr, like that.
I'm going to bring that up. So there's an image here. I think this is amazing. Like, what a great thing. And then like it was like this anime thing. Like it was.
Yeah,
really
it definitely has a
cool.
modern comic book take to it.
Look at my comic book. I love whoever drew that.
Well, yeah, I mean. That's how you see yourself, right? You got that up next to the mirror, so you keep looking at it, going like this. That's the guy.
Like the right way.
Yeah. Right. Every day you wake up, I want to be more like that one.
I'm trying to be like this animated character.
Yeah. But, so I mean, so COVID happened, and then it was like, okay, well, we can't be in the same like room together anymore. So, nobody knew anything that was going on then. So, I think that whole year went by, we couldn't do anything else, and then finally. 2021, I think, like spring or thereabouts.
Wait. We did record drums for one song during 2020. And remember, I was by myself in the room. And
you
two were in the studio, like the where the mix down happened. And I like walked in the back door, the studio, which was our friend's like house.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And we actually had no physical contact other than like talk back. And I recorded parties like, that'll work. I'm like, all right,
such a wild time, and
don't
feel like a bad dream at some point, but
yeah.
But
we got there.
Yeah. And this the logo, if you like, I'm bringing that up here too, like where it's this kind of Cthulhu thing.
Adorable Cthulhu. Yeah, that's kind of what that was my.
Waiting for plushies to be available.
This is before the AI art days when you had to like find a random person on Fiverr.
Right.
So I was like, hey, you make cool designs. I'm going for like a baby Cthulhu sort of, vibe.
Oh, so cool. Nailed it again.
And that was.
But yeah, I mean, the funny part about too, so like a little bit of a jump forward to Music Fest. So I hear the name Terrible Orange Things. I'm kind of already in. I listen to the music. I'm definitely in. And I show up to the stage and you're not wearing orange. You're definitely not terrible. You are things, but that's, neither here nor there. But like, and so I was like looking for all this other stuff. But like, so even the cool, awesome logo doesn't embrace the orange, which initially I was like, oh. And then I was like, actually, that's amazing. So like, I just wanted to mention too, like so we have the podcast. Anybody listening, like for audio only, there's literally no orange, but the T-shirt I'm wearing tonight. And I just wanted to make sure people.
It is almost family supported because it is your Reese University shirt.
True.
Yeah,
right.
So
it's my last name being Reese. It went. That's
nice.
How I found the T-shirt, But more about you all. Like, was there? So, what I loved about this one was the name of the band has nothing to do with Gritty or Trump, which I thought was hilarious.
We got a lot of questions about that.
I think. Well, 2019, there was probably a lot of people wanting it to be about that, but it was really about just
that was the biggest question I got. Is this like a Trump thing?
No. But it was just about kids hallucinating under a tree while one of them aggressively ate leaves.
Yes. Wow, yeah. Oh, that's right. We did that. I did that interview. Yeah. So no, that's my friend.
From
The internet is undefeated. So
my friend John Hoffert actually is the original Terrible Orange Thing. Because I was calling him a terrible. I'm like, you're a terrible orange thing, John, as he's like aggressively eating these leaves in front of me. And so it was just kind of like this inside joke for a long time, like, you're a terrible orange thing. And then I was like, you know what? We should that could be a band name. And years later it came out.
I think it's amazing. It's terrific. And then again, like I said, I think the fact that I went down there hoping for one thing and saw something else, still it was perfect. So, so you're now a band. You're putting out these things. We've touched on a bunch of that stuff, and it was interesting. Like I was reading a little bit about how it was like the production side of things was one element, and then all of a sudden it was like, oh wait, we're going to perform live. That was a whole other thing. And then Simon, you were touching on it there, where Music Fest was an element above all of that. So anything you could share about the Music Fest experience, or even just the live performances as it started to pick up?
I'll field this one. Well, so I was saying this a little bit before we got on live. I didn't really know anything about Music Fest
right
before this. And it was funny too, because when I heard we were playing it, I was looking up, the acts that have played it before and all the stages and stuff. I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But I didn't know how far reaching it was. And I would, people would ask me, like, do you guys have any shows coming up? I'm like, oh yeah, we're playing Music Fest. They're like, oh really? I was like, how does everyone, even my friends who are not musicians, know about this but me? So, I'm going to attribute that to the whole being a new parent and just being in my own little world for so long. But it was, and I remember it was just, we had never really intended on playing live. And then our first show was actually in State College at Penn State, which is, are we both alumni? Did you go to Penn State, Donovan?
A semester still counts.
I mean, that technically makes you an alum, right? I mean, they're going to send you a thing for a donation.
Rose Bowl champions.
I played drums and partied at Penn State, and apparently it's somewhere in there got a degree, but I'm not really sure in what. So actually, it's cultural anthropology, if anyone's curious, which is...
So you do know what it is.
Yes. But we had a gig up there, and it was a bar that was, when I went there, was like my favorite bar to hang out, called The First. And when we played in cover bands, we loved playing there. It's this little basement bar. It looks like a dive. I don't think it's not really a dive, but it really looks like one. So we played like this small show there. We were like, okay, that was fun. Like, it was sort of like testing the waters. Like, could we do this live if we needed to? Because I don't know if anyone notices, but in the recordings, there's a few more people than one guitar, one bass, and drums.
I was curious about some of that layering.
Yeah, so it was sort of like, it'd be kind of hard to get like 6 guitars on stage. So, but it was sort of like,
be done.
Some Leonard Skinner action, whatever.
Yeah, right.
Yeah,
it was a question of, can we do this live, and does it make sense to do it live?
Sure.
And what we realized, we did that show, and then we did another show, which was sort of a charity gig, which was another sort of small, like a small venue type of thing. There were a bunch of bands playing.
Was that the Brewworks in Allentown?
Yeah. And the things we learned from that were, every gig you play, you learn something from. And the lesson on those 2 gigs is our music does not work really well in smaller
well, look, like I keep saying this phrase too, and again, I hope it comes across respectfully, but it's stadium rock. Like, you want it to be in this massive place with thousands of people.
We like to refer to it as wall of sound.
Sure, absolutely. And so I do have a recording here from Music Fest. It's Stutter, and I figure we could play that a little bit, and then Donovan, maybe you could share a little bit about your Music Fest experience. But let's bring in Stutter here.
second chances and face the great unknown. 'Cause in the end, the fear was not to find, and the truth was never hiding. That you're not alone.
So unfortunately, I didn't capture the whole song. I just got a clip of it.
That's just.
But the funny part about it was
You got the drum solo, so I mean that's nice.
so Simon's psyched about that part. But
It's the
best
only
part,
feature I have. It's fine.
so even funnier is I'm when I try and go get video and it's earlier in the day. Most people are sitting, unfortunately, for Music Fest. But
Sure.
that's fine. So I hate standing way up by the front of the stage because I'm standing right in front of people. And so
I was waving at my son who's watching downstairs on YouTube. Hi, Asher.
nice. And so so this will be about his grandmother, correct? Is that what with the story I'm about to tell? Like, so basically I'm standing there and I cut in front of a bunch of people who are sitting in the front row. And I'm like, do you mind if I just sit on the ground here? And they're like, totally fine. And I'm shooting this thing. And this woman, after I'm done, she's like, do you like them? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, I'm the drummer's mom.
She's so proud. Hi, Mom.
And I
Nice.
said, I think they're great. And I want to have them on the show. I do this podcast as I'm trying to talk in the midst of a song. So we have these guitar picks. So I gave her one and I said, hey, could you give this to the band? Because I can't stay till the end. And then Donovan, I think you wrote to me through Instagram where you were like, I have a pick from our drummer's mom, and I think you want to have us on your show.
Yep.
And it
Tale
was
as old as time.
Right, exactly. It was like, that's the way it's just
drummer's
so
mom.
Every
highly
interview we
professional.
do, it starts with the drummer's mom, and then
But it was so funny because she was definitely so proud. And then she just wanted to talk about it. And I was just like, that's so cute. And it was just
She's the best. And then, her and my dad's a very, very talented piano player. And Donovan and I actually collaborated on a song with him, which was another cover. And it's one of my favorite songs we've recorded, actually.
what's the name of it?
Yeah. What's up?
What's the name of the song?
I forget. Donovan, do you remember?
So it was actually for Simon's dad's band. They have this huge band called Baby Blue Sound Collective, and it's all doctors and healthcare workers and stuff, and they record.
And then me.
And Simon.
Yeah, my kid plays drums. We'll get him to play
healthcare worker
drums.
by proxy.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
And they put together these songs to raise money for, I think it's pediatric heart stuff. I'm blanking on the right words.
There's a bunch of stuff.
You're totally fine.
You're good.
But
cardiac?
the track is called My Beautiful. And
That's
it
right.
was a lot of fun. And it was we kind of did the gist of it here in my home studio, and then and then kind of sending everything to our new engineer John Michael Kuya, who's a longtime friend of mine out in LA. And we're like, okay, here's the skeleton, and he's getting string parts from some doctor in Vienna, or a guitar Italy, or a guitar player in Australia, and all these different, and kind of now put it all together, and it came out pretty cool. It was pretty cool.
Awesome. Is there any way we can link
really
to that,
cool.
in the notes? Or
Yeah,
anything?
absolutely.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll get that from you afterwards, and we'll link to that in the
definitely.
show notes.
Yeah, we'll make
afterwards,
sure
'cause
that
would
all
be
gets folded in there, because that's
super cool.
nifty.
Yeah, for sure. But Donovan, your Music Fest experience from either that, before, or after?
Yeah, no, it's great. I mean, so I had heard of music. I grew up in the Lehigh Valley, so I was well aware of Music Fest, and had spent many a year hawking tickets for my own shows at the Croc Rock.
Nice.
Very
down
cool. On the corner, where the church there, with an acoustic guitar, just trying to get anybody to buy a ticket.
I've probably walked past you many a time.
Yeah. And so it was kind of cool to actually get to be like on stage, officially, playing Music Fest for the first time. So that was a good time. Good feeling.
That's awesome. Very fantastic.
Donovan, your wife just posted the link to that song in the
It's in the comments.
Terrific.
Hi, Fee.
Yes, hello, Fee. So now pivoting forward, we can certainly get to some of the promotions for 2023 and what's going on, but maybe we should start with, you had shared that you might be able to play one of the yet unreleased songs for us tonight.
Yeah, so I can do that.
And while he's getting ready, I will give the background on this song.
Nice.
At least from what I know, is that this was a song we did at Music Fest acoustically. Because to be completely honest, we needed more time to fill because we're a new band. And we got sort of,
I do love those moments.
Yeah. And Donovan had, this song pretty much written out, and we just recently sort of fleshed it out in rehearsal as a full band tune, which actually, we can talk about when we talk about what's happening next in the band. But it is it's sort of a different sound than the stuff we've done before, and we're always kind of looking to evolve our sound. And it still have the same backbone as we're used to, but yeah. Anything else, Donovan? That was about it.
That's about good.
Proceed.
Cool.
All right, so we're gonna come off. We'll give you center stage here.
Oh, no pressure. All right, this song's called Runner, and it's like gonna be the first single off our new EP. So there we go. Antidepressants and alcohol are working overtime to keep me sane. Wish I was drunken, but not at all. There's no place you can run when you can't escape your brain. And I'm stuck again, fucked up again. Could you still love me like you used to? I remember when we could sit and talk all night. I need redemption in the worst way. Where's that little voice saying you'll be alright? You'll be alright. You'll be alright. You'll be alright. I tell myself that I'm strong enough. You can fix it all on your own. I put off asking for help so long. Now the pain I feel is burning down my home. Then I'm stuck again, fucked up again. Will this ever end? Now I'm caving in. Could you still love me like you used to? I remember when we could sit and talk all night. I need redemption in the worst way. Where's that little voice inside my mind? If you could see me like the old me, would you take this chance on us one more time? I need to know that you'll be with me. I swear that I can change. I'll make this right. And I can change. I can change. I can change. Runner, where'd you go? Where'd you go, my runner? Where'd you go? Where'd you go, my runner? My runner, like you used to. Would you sit with me and talk tonight? I need to know that you'll be with me. I need to know it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright. It's gonna be it's gonna be alright. It's gonna be alright.
Donovan, I think you crushed that, bro.
Nice.
That was great.
Fantastic.
Thank you for sharing that.
Oh, thanks, y'all. Yeah, so we premiered that at Music Fest, kind of like as a last minute sort of thing, but we just had a rehearsal a couple weeks ago, kind of making a full band arrangement of it, and it's gonna be pretty cool. Excited on it.
That's awesome. No, and thank you so much for kind of featuring it here. Like we always love when it can be a song that's not yet released and give an acoustic version of it. We really appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
Absolutely. So what else can we promote? Like obviously there's new music to be coming out like that. And is there like a tour to support it? Like what else can we kind of promote here or sling some merch?
It'd be nice if we had merch. But no, I would say, I mean, just, follow us, on YouTube. We kind of, Facebook's just really, follow us on Facebook too. Instagram's great. I think YouTube is like our,
Sure.
kind of home right
It's
now,
the
just because
catalog, yeah.
we're mostly, very, visual. We're an internet band. But yeah, so
back to the origin story there.
Yeah. So for 2023, obviously, elephant in the room, like, hey, James is not on this call right now. So, we played Music Fest together, and he's like one of the smartest people I know, and is like just started his own business and doing some kind of very fancy technical thing that I don't understand at all. But it's blowing up.
He keeps trying to tell us in our group chat, and I'm like, cool. I don't know what you're talking about.
And Automation Contractors LLC. I think there you go, James. Plug for James.
Nice.
But it's blowing up. And he's working like 80 hours a week. So he's like, hey man, I don't have a lot of time right now. And I get it. And we've been friends since we were 18. And it was like, hey, if you need to, step away from this, I always enjoyed, in my original projects, that I ran, it was like people sometimes described it as more of a community than a band, because we had so many kind of, nobody's really gone, somebody steps away from it, somebody might come back. So, this isn't like a final, farewell to James. He's just, he's got other things to focus on right now.
Sure.
But that being said, we're super excited to officially welcome our good friends, Luke Anderson and John Kadity. If I said that wrong, I'm so sorry, John, but I love you. I'm not great at names.
Right.
Who are other friends, from the cover band
there's
world.
There's a Wordnowski in the band, so like
I got that one right.
Yeah, nice.
Right. But yeah, no, we're super excited to welcome them on, respectively, Luke on bass and John.
So if you're getting to 6 guitars, you're up to 2 now. So like,
yeah, so I can actually go back to guitar. Not that I didn't have a good time being Mark Hoppus, but
I think that sort of goes along with sort of evolving the sound for the next EP. Is that a lot of we had so few people with input on the sound for the last one, which I think obviously it's great, but it's like it's so nice having 2 other guys who are also professional musicians. They play. Luke plays for an amazing cover band called Go Go Gadget.
We know them.
They are run through 3 Hive Entertainment and Jeff Tomrell, who has helped us out so much. He's been a friend of ours for a long time, but he, his studio warehouse actually is where we filmed Brighter, the performance part of it.
Sure.
And then John plays for another amazing cover band called Liquid A. So they're also full-time musicians, which is nice in the sense that we have a lot of input now. You know, when we got together, I think it was like 2 weeks ago to flesh out that song Runner.
Yeah.
It was so cool to have everyone be able to put input in how we should write this song. And all of it was good. Usually it's like, there's that one guy that's like, should we try this? It's like we got this, you know, but no, it was really, really fun. And it's a lot of fun playing with those guys. And they're just, you know, I always think that being in a band is like being in a family. And, you know, I think this is one of those unique instances where we found two other people that are on the complete same wavelength as us.
That's
and
awesome.
We can, and because rehearsals went from let's get this ready to do something with, which was great. And you need to have those rehearsals, but now it's sort of like we play music and then we're like, that was cool. Now let's, you know, BS for 10 minutes about some deep cut sci-fi movie. All right, let's play more music. Here we go. You know, so
that's awesome.
It's just it really feels like a complete package now, which is awesome. And I'm so excited to see sort of what we do and what we can come up with in the next year.
Totally.
Yeah.
So the current, so basically nothing currently as far as dates regarding release of music or gigs, but they should
We're
tune
an
in.
internet band, man.
Well, you're right. So listen, like whether it's your channels or social medias or ours, we'll echo it as well. So like if anybody is interested in learning more about Terrible Orange Things, follow them on social media. Check out their website. The videos are amazing. We talked about the trilogy, but there's more stuff coming out, and you can obviously always get in touch with with us as far as when their stuff's coming up. They're from Doylestown. We didn't even mention that. The original roots there is like Philadelphia, Lehigh Valley-ish area. So I would think some of those early gigs will probably be local for this area, but there's no reason why you guys wouldn't be branching out from there as far as taking things out on the road.
Yeah, I mean, whatever. We're open to whatever. Right now, we're just having fun making stuff that we're proud of and we love, and you know, it's sharing it with our friends. And you know, we got some stuff in the works to play some shows with friends this spring. So yeah, watch our socials for more official stuff on that.
Awesome.
Thank you guys so much for having us. This was awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Donovan, Simon, thank you so much for coming on the show, for sharing your stories, for playing live music. We love that. So really, we're honored to have you on the show tonight.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
David?
Philip.
So let's recap. Not terrible.
Not orange.
Not orange.
But things, I mean,
probably a thing. Like,
yeah,
you can't argue that one.
In the person, place, or things category, you would probably put them in persons. But I think a band becomes
That's
a
true.
thing.
Yeah,
like
you can't say
it's a
not
collective,
a thing, but person's like a more specific thing.
Sure, I'm into that.
But man, was that song awesome?
Yeah, it was great, and Donovan sounded fantastic on it.
Yes, I mean, tremendous. And then the live stuff was awesome. The recorded stuff is incredible. So the
visual stuff is incredible. So if you're listening to this, go check out their videos because it is worth checking out. You can get into the trilogy. I'm presuming there's probably going to be 82 more parts that come out when Disney buys them out at some point in time. So they're probably laughing at that, but you know, Simon's got kids, so you know, like Disney.
We can see it in the virtual green room. There's kids there right now.
Yeah, exactly.
But I'm so thrilled. What a great kickoff to 2023. Like I am.
Yeah, that felt great.
Giddy. Like I think this is tremendous. What a great start, and can't wait for the upcoming episodes. But I suppose we have to do.
All right, Phil. Let's say goodbye to everybody.
We hope you've enjoyed this episode of Your Next Favorite Band. We'd like to sincerely thank Donovan and Simon for joining us from Terrible Orange Things and sharing their stories and the beginnings of the band and a peek into their, whole creative process and how they all started. There'll be links in the show notes to not only all of their stuff, but some of the cool stuff we chatted about. And we hope you check that all out. Give them a follow, and whenever they have the ability to purchase some merch, these are the ways to super support what they've got going on. And if you want to make sure that they continue to create some great music and some great art, that's the best way to do it. As always, our hope here is to bring you your next favorite band. If you joined in tonight because you already knew Terrible Orange Things, then thank you so much for tuning in. But we hope that you subscribe, like, and follow us so that we might be able to bring you your next favorite band in the subsequent weeks. You can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, Twitch, YouTube, wherever you can find us. We are Next Fave Band, and we hope that you really enjoy what we are bringing to you all. We've got some great stuff lined up here all the way through to the spring, and we hope that we can all check out a live show soon.
It's all over now.